Welcome to the 2025 Pastry Arts Virtual Summit. I am so excited to be here. This is my third year of being here and helping wedding cake designers build their businesses to their fullest potential. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to stand out as a wedding cake business. My name is Jennifer Williamson, and I'm the owner of Jenny's Wedding Cakes. I have been in business for over 28 years. I started my business from literally nothing. I had less than $100. My kitchen was not even a kitchen. It was a room between our garage and my house. And I, over the years, have built my business pretty much by myself and become an award-winning wedding cake designer, and now I run my household completely on my wedding cake income. So now I teach other wedding cake designers how to build their businesses as well. So like I said, today we're going to talk about how to stand out among the competition. And this is not about being better than everybody else. This is just being different than everyone else, okay? So first I want to talk about why to stand out. So the first reason why you want to stand out is it makes you irreplaceable. So when you are offering something that no one else is offering, people won't mind spending a little bit extra to come to you and receive that special something that you are offering. Okay, so, and it makes it so that you can't be duplicated and they have to come to you. You're the only person that can give them this service. That's truly very important. The next, it reduces price shoppers. So if people are looking at the same cake side by side, whether it's on a website or Instagram or something like that, of course, they are going to go for the cheapest one. I mean, that's just natural, right? So when we're offering something different, something a little extra, they're not going to mind spending a little bit extra for that service that we're offering. The next reason is it connects you with your ideal clients. So this is very important too, because when you are offering a service or something that is very important to you, you're going to attract the people that value that. And in doing that, it not only makes the whole experience more enjoyable for the both of you, the client and us as wedding cake designers, it builds trust, it builds rapport, and it just makes the whole thing just more fulfilling. And I've seen this a million times over. And then it makes you more memorable. So when you are looking to gain referrals from other wedding professionals, when you have a specialty, when you have something that you can say, hey, listen, this is a special thing that I do, or this is what's special about my business, then they're going to remember that. So say, you have a really streamlined process. A wedding planner might value that if they have some clients that are coming out of town. So it will be really easy to work with you. So they'll refer you for that reason. That's just an example. But referrals are one of the biggest factors to the longevity of your business. So having something special that people will remember you by is truly very important. And then the last one, it helps you grow as a designer and a business owner and a pastry chef. So when you're challenged and when you have something that you want to show the world that you're doing differently, it just helps you grow, and it helps you fulfill that need to create, which is a big reason why a lot of us got into this job in the first place. And it just makes the whole thing more fulfilling. It makes your job more enjoyable. It helps you create so you avoid burnout. So that's another one. It just helps you in every possible way. Like I said, as a designer, as a pastry chef, and as a business owner. Okay. So one of the other reasons why I want to stress how important it is to do something different in your business is that weddings are an emotional sale. So it doesn't really follow all the economic trends. You can't really differentiate sometimes why a person is choosing one business over another. So when you have a true connection with a couple, and when you have that special something that they don't even know what they're looking for, that's when the magic happens, and that's when you become sought out, and people will come to you for that special something that you have. Okay, and then also, and I'll give you an example of that. Okay, so say you are, say you're looking for, you want to buy a car. So you want a black SUV, right? And you're looking at two online. You're looking at maybe a Kia and maybe a Mercedes. They're both black. They both have four wheels. They're both going to do the job, right? So you go and you test drive the Kia and you're like, oh yeah, that's, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. It has a steering wheel. It's got seats. The back opens up so you can put wedding cakes in it. It's perfect, right? Yep. Where do I sign? Okay. And then you get ready to test drive the Mercedes. And then you get in the Mercedes and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was going to be so pretty inside. And I didn't know it was going to have an analog clock. And I didn't know the seats were going to feel so good. And I didn't know it was going to smell like this. And then all of a sudden, you want the Mercedes, no hate to Kia, you want the Mercedes for reasons that you did not even know existed. So it's the same with us. Our couples don't even know the difference between us until we communicate that. So I really wanted to stress that because I hear it all the time too. People will, they'll meet with me and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know there were so many flavors. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. And that's why they're doing this for the first time. So that's why we need to communicate to them what we do differently. Okay. And then the other part of it too, that is so, so, so important. We have to remember as wedding cake designers that even though we're doing this every weekend, every week, every season, every year, this is their one time. And they're hiring us not just for our product, to be a part of their team. And this is another thing that they don't consciously realize. They think that they're buying a cake, but they're actually buying us. They're buying our service, and we are being invited to be on a part of their team. And that's why we have to build this trust and this rapport. And that is done through all these things that we can communicate that we do differently. Okay. So how do we choose what we are going to specialize in? I got my little blankie here. Okay. So first you want to ask yourself, what inspires you? What excites you? What is the part of the business that you lose time, that you're in the kitchen and you don't even know that, oh my God, 3 hours went by, or you are, you're shopping for ingredients and you don't mind that you brought home 27 bags of groceries and now you have to put them away. Maybe you're sketching cakes all day and you just do that in your part-time. Maybe you love talking to people and making them feel good. So you want to ask yourself, what inspires you? What fires you up? What lights you up about the business? What are the things that makes it feel like it's not a job? And then you think about, what do you want to be known for? So when you think of how you want to be remembered, what do you want to be known as an artist? Do you want to be known as a pastry chef? Do you want to be known as someone who really made everyone feel special? And then you think about what you want your clients to notice first about you. Again, do you want them to feel as though you welcomed them right away? And do you want them to do you want them to see your cakes and think, oh my God, that's the most beautiful cake I've ever seen? Or, wow, these flavors are like something I've never had before in my whole entire life. So think about the things that you want your couples to notice first. And then, what will you be the most excited to tell your colleagues about you? And this one is huge too, because when I talk to my clients, my students about networking, I tell them, hey, listen, when you are meeting somebody, don't just say like, what do you do? Ask them, listen, if I'm going to refer you to one of my couples, what would you want me to tell them about you? And this gives people an opportunity to say the one thing that's really special about them that they really want to be remembered for and they really want to be known for. So same with us. We want to come up with those things that when people are talking about us and referring us, we want to be referred for that reason. So for me, for example, it's design is one, flavors are another, but really it's my personal service and my expression of love and the reason why I started doing this in the first place. Okay, so think about what you would be excited about telling. All right, and then to dive a little bit deeper, because I do want you to go deep on this, you want to ask yourself, what did you enjoy when you first started doing this? So many of us started doing this because, it's fun to bake, obviously. You're in the kitchen all day. Everything smells delicious. You get to use fun ingredients. It could be the love of baking why you started doing this. A lot of people find it therapeutic. A lot of people just, obviously just love to bake. I mean, that's why we started it in the first place, right? And then it could be the love of creating a piece of art. So if that is your number one reason why you got into this, I really want you to lean into that. And here's the other thing too that I want to stress. You can have a combination of all these things. You don't have to pick just one. In fact, the more you can pick, the better. But just make yourself, just really, really dig deep and really figure out, what is the part of the job that really fills your heart, okay? So it could, like I said, my background's in art, so this was perfect for me. I noticed in high school I always used to draw cakes and cupcakes and things like that, so I didn't realize that until later. But then, as I started doing cakes, it was just a fun expression of my artistic side that I was just in love with. So that could be another one. And then, if your special thing is you love making people feel special, again, we're in the food business. Anyone in the food business that turns their passion into a business, it's a vulnerable part of you, because we are, a lot of us started doing this because we love making food for people. And I know for me, that is such a big expression of my art. So when, expression of my love. So like when I really care for someone, I love to cook for them. I love to entertain for my friends. That's why I got into catering in the beginning. I started making cakes for my mom when I was a kid. Like that was, that's how I show my love. And that is still how I show my love. I kill people with food. So if it's making people feel special, really, again, let's lean into that and figure out how we can make that a specialty in your business. All right, so the 4 specialties we are going to talk about today, we're going to talk about design, flavors, added value, and personality, okay? And obviously there are more ways to differentiate yourself, but these are the 4 we're going to focus on. So the first one is design, which, is a big favorite, right? Again, it's a big reason why we got into this is because we love to create beautiful things. So a few ways that you can differentiate yourself in design is having a specialty like sugar art or wafer paper art, sugar flowers. That's one of the reasons I got popular in the beginning of my career, is I would come inside and just practice making sugar flowers. So I became known for that. So that's one of the ways that you can stand out. You can have a specific art style. So if there's something that you love, like, like Art Deco or something like that, really lean into that and practice it and make it different. And you don't have to worry about making everything look different. If you are doing things that are consistent, that makes it more appealing, actually. So, look at those things. You look at like an artist like Monet, right? So he's done all his impressionist art. They all are recognizable because they're very similar in style. And then you could use something like graphics. And this is something, if you have a certain shape that you love, or if you have certain textiles or something like that, or certain patterns that you love to use, and you want to use those throughout your cakes and throughout your work, go ahead and do that. If you have a special technique that you love to do, like painting, I love painting on cakes. I was doing it from a million years ago, before it was popular, and I wish I had done more of it then. And so if you have something like that, if you have an artistic flair or an artistic background and you can paint, you have the ability to paint, go ahead and paint on cakes and make that your thing, or make that one of your things. And I do want to tell you a little story about how the design aspect really impacted me. So when I first started making wedding cakes, I, was new. I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to please everybody. And I started to learn every single design, and it was driving me crazy because I didn't even like the designs that were popular at the time. It was in the 90s. So like all those, leaning cakes were popular and all the colors and things like that. It was definitely not my style, but it was what was popular and trending. So I just thought I had to do that to stay in the game, to stay trendy. And I was at the same time watching that show Project Runway, and I don't know if you know the show, but it's clothing designers, and they compete against each other to develop a clothing line that they can then put out to the world, and they're judged by a model, and they're judged by a famous designer. So, and it's Heidi Klum and Michael Kors. And it was one of the episodes. There were two men standing up there, and they were both finalists. And the guy that lost, they said to him, they said, "We love what you're doing here, but we don't know who you are." And I was like, "Oh my God, we don't know who you are." And I was like, oh, that really stuck with me. And it made me realize that just like him, like they wanted to see more of him. They wanted to see more of his style. Even though everything he did was beautiful, they wanted to see more that came from his heart. And that's the moment when I stopped doing all the rest of the stuff and I worked on my style, which was very feminine, a little bit on the traditional side, very delicate. And I started really working on that. And then I became known for that style to where people would come to me because they loved my cakes. It wasn't because they loved a cake that I did that looked like something they saw on Pinterest. It was because they loved my cakes. So if you're working in design, if you want to really stand out in design, don't be afraid to focus on one style and really perfect it and really play with it and make it your thing. Okay? And then next is flavors. Okay, so flavors are so much fun. We can have so much fun with this. And it is so amazing to me that I see so many wedding cake designers don't utilize this. We have everything available to us this time in our life, right? Why are we not using it? It's funny, I meet some people sometimes, and when I tell them I make wedding cakes, they're like, "Oh, I don't know what is my favorite, vanilla or chocolate." I'm like, honey, like there's so many more than vanilla and chocolate. So what I want you to do, if you love the chemistry part of it, if you love pairing flavors, that can be part of your thing. That can be one of your specialties. So in this case, I'll give you a couple examples. One of my students actually, I don't even know if she noticed it, but when she started making all her cakes, she incorporated a lot of boozy flavors, which I love, and that became her thing. So I would see her on Instagram, and before I even saw whose account it was, I could tell it was her by her flavors because everything had booze involved. And even for me, everyone knows I love champagne. And one of my signature flavors is my raspberry champagne cake. So, that when people think of me, they think of that flavor. Or when they think of, when they see a raspberry champagne cake somewhere, they're like, "Oh, I bet that's Jenny." So you can do something like that. Another thing, this is actually another one of my students that did this. You can work in one of your, if you have an ethnic background or if there's a region that you really love in the world and you want to incorporate that into your flavors, you can do that. And what I was going to just say, my student is from Puerto Rico, and she incorporates a lot of the Puerto Rican flavors into her wedding cake flavors, and now she's known for that. So when there is someone that's looking for those flavors, they know right where to go. And the other thing that she's done, she's given them very, very clever names for all of her flavors, so they're very memorable. You could have like a unique or a modern spin on things. So say you want to incorporate herbs, or you can even incorporate savory flavors into your menu and make them more modern. So again, very sophisticated. You could have, again, people would come to you for that because that's something that other people don't offer. You could do something like comfort foods. You can specialize in maybe candy infused flavors like peanut butter cup or Milky Way, or something that is really nostalgic. I have a flavor, it's a banana cake, and when I went to New Orleans, I learned how to make pecan praline. So I incorporated that into a cake with a salted caramel buttercream, and that's become one of my specialty flavors that I've been known for. So anything like that nostalgic feel, people love that. So that's another way to specialize in a flavor. And then special restrictions, this one is huge. So if you want to specialize in gluten-free or vegan or dairy-free or egg-free, anything like that, anything for people that have any kind of food restriction, you could blow up your business. I can't even tell you. I would say probably 25% of my business is now gluten-free. And when people Google gluten-free wedding cakes, my name comes up because I've done so many of them. So anything like that, any kind of food restrictive menu is a great specialty to go into, especially now. Okay, so those are some ideas for flavors. And next we're going to talk about added value. So added value, this is one of those secret little something. It's like a special thing that you do that, it does not really occur to people until they meet with you or they see you. So one of the things I want to talk about is personal tastings. So when you're doing in-person tastings, that is a huge value for people. I can't tell you how many people that I've met with since COVID that have said to me like, oh my God, this is so great meeting you in person. This is such a wonderful experience. Because what happened is over COVID, everyone started doing the tasting boxes and mailing out cake slices. So for me, I still do the personal tastings and I never stopped doing that. And we offer a great experience for people. You could do something like saying that you just do wedding cakes, that you specialize in weddings. And what that does, again, it makes you sound like an expert in your field. So for me, again, I'll use myself as an example because I just learned through trial and error, is in the beginning, I didn't have a website. I barely had a kitchen. This is before, Instagram and Facebook and everything like that. So I really had to put myself out there as a professional and I wanted people to take me seriously. So, I would just say, I just do wedding cakes. I specialize in weddings. They're like, oh my God. And what happened is I just got better and better at weddings. And also I wasn't distracted by anything else. So it makes you sound like, again, you're a specialist and people want that. People want a specialty. You could have a streamlined process. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier using the example of, say, you have a planner that's coming from out of town, a couple that's coming from out of town, and a planner wants them to have just a really easy, stress-free experience. And, if you offer something like that, like a really easy process or something that just makes it really enjoyable and stress-free for your couples, that's really an added value too. You could offer cake stands or gifts or something like that, some little incentive. I do not recommend offering any discounts or anything like that. Always make it always make it something special because we're a luxury product. So you don't want to do anything with discounts. But for, example, in the beginning when nobody was doing cake stands, I was doing that because my business was so small and I really enjoyed that visual aspect of it. You could offer gifts. I have one of my students offers little sketches of the cake for her couples. You could offer the cake top for an anniversary. I know a lot of people do that. Anything that makes it a little bit special and makes them feel special and cared for and like they're not just another customer. Okay, so that's added value. And then the next one might be my favorite. The next one is adding in your personality. And this one, I'm always surprised at how many bakers do not, again, utilize this. I think what happens, first of all, bakers are a little shy and we hide behind our kitchen, we hide behind our brand, we hide behind our business. But the truth is, people actually want to know who's making their cake. And I found this through just experience. So if you really want to connect with your clients, build that rapport, build that connection, you could do it through your personality. So the first thing, put your name on your website, put your name on your Instagram. Don't hide behind your business. Like I said, people want to know who's making their cake. And we're making this with our hands. We're making food for people to consume. Like this is a nurturing part of us. Of course they want to know who's doing it. So add in your personality, add in your style. If you have anything special about you that you think is fun and unique or whatever that people would appreciate, put that into your business. If you have any strong beliefs, like a charity that you are passionate about, say you love to rescue dogs, work that into your business too, because again, you'll find the people that connect with you will respect you for that, and they will seek you out, and you'll be known for that. And we'll talk about ways you can do it, but if you have a charity that you belong to, that, I mean, obviously I would stay away from anything religious or political, but anything else, if there's a certain cause that you feel strongly about, work that into your business. That's not a bad thing at all. And then be authentic. So if you are goth, or if you have a certain style about you, if you're preppy, or if you're whatever, put that into your branding, put that into your Instagram. Talk about your little, talk about a story on Instagram. Put that all in your branding. If everyone knows you for a certain color, I happen to dress like Johnny Cash all the time in black, but I have another friend that loves the color purple, so all her branding's in purple. So if you have something like that, work that into your branding. It'll just make you more memorable. So maybe you have some sort of adversity or some sort of hardship that you've had to deal with. I know that for me, I talk a lot about how I started this business from nothing, with no money. And I also talk about, people know that I have been a divorced mom for about 12 years, and I now run my household from my wedding cake business. So I talk about things like that. So if you do have something that you've had to struggle with that is important to you, that makes you who you are, that is one of the reasons that you are doing this business and it's meaningful, go ahead and share that. And then we want to talk about how we tie this all together. So we are so lucky to have the benefit of free platforms like Facebook and Instagram. So you can totally tell your story on that. Please put your name on your Instagram account. I see so many people that don't do that. Don't hide behind that. Like I said, people want to know who is behind that brand. So you can tell stories on your website. I know that I'm always surprised at how many people read my bio on my website. And I've actually had people that hired me just because they saw that I had a corgi. They literally came in with their little corgi check, and they wrote me a little deposit on their corgi check. And we talked about corgis for about 45 minutes. And we, talked about 20 minutes about their cake, but they already knew they were going to hire me first because they connected with me through that, and they already trusted me, and it already built connection and rapport and trust, and that is so important. So put those things on your website. Don't be afraid to tell a little story on your Instagram. I had people that hired me because they saw that I posted something about CrossFit, and they were both CrossFitters, and they felt that was important to them. So they hired me for that reason. So you never know what it's going to be, why people connect with you. But the important thing is really dig deep, really lean in to what makes you different, what makes you stand out. Again, you don't have to be the best at everything. You just have to be different. You just have to offer a little bit of a different service so that nobody else can duplicate exactly what you do. And that is really what we want to focus on here. And again, lean into it. Don't be afraid to put it out there to the world. The right people are going to value that. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And thank you so much for being here and watching this for me. And please, if you have any questions about your wedding cake business, you know how to contact me. And I really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Bye.